This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and who we have? Who the hell do we have with us?
We got Nick Starling.
Nick Starling in the house.
How we doing?
What's up, Nick?
Not much.
How's Hawaii?
Hawaii was 80 degrees every day all year with a slight onshore breeze. It was pretty nice.
So why are you back in Las Vegas then?
Because I miss it.
With no breeze.
I miss my gun.
You
can't carry a gun in Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah, it's a may issue state versus a shall issue state, which means that it's up to the chief of police. So they're pretty much allowing the government to have a monopoly on use of force over there. So, which is changing. That's changing because there's stuff going through the L.A. County court system, which has to go up to the state, and then it's got to go up to Ninth Circuit, and then has to go over to.
You would think that that'll be a state that you can carry a gun because where are you going to go?
I know, and plus, Pearl Harbor. What if that happens again? You know what I mean?
You can't go anywhere. Where are you going to swim to to Australia?
Yeah, you can go get eaten by sharks.
You can't. I would think that you can. I mean, over here you could carry a weapon, and you could drive to any one of the 48 other states, including Mexico.
Oh yeah. Well, the National Reciprocity Bill passed the House. It's just Harry Reid's holding it up in the Senate and won't let it go this time. So if the Republicans win the Senate, then we'll be able to get a national concealed carry law next year.
So I heard you guys in Hawaii, the Hawaiian chapter, which is run by Dennis Eggy, made the news out there.
Oh yeah, we did.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, well that's just for the mayor's race out there. I mean, we got the Senate race that's huge over there too. That's coming up on the 7th. Yeah. So there'll be a press event for that as well, and all kinds of other people as well.
So you think they could hold down the front without you?
Oh yeah, they did a great job out there. They took to it really well, and all the elected officials were very, very appreciative because it's the way that we do our endorsement interviews. Of course, it's mandated by international, so it's nice and open, and the public can show up, and it's on YouTube and everything else, and the incumbents were so appreciative of that process and all the questions and everything. They loved it. And we only gave those candidates 24-hour notice. Wow. Yeah. So we got candidates here that don't show up because, it's a couple weeks out and I can't reschedule this, that, and the other. We had a candidate who was an incumbent and she was a lawyer. She wasn't a partner either. She was an associate. She rescheduled a multi-million-dollar deal because she cared that much about the veterans endorsement.
Wow. Well, you would think that more people would want to do something like that, but they all talk like they're supporting of veterans, but in reality they don't.
And on that note, if you do support and you guys like listening to this stuff, we could use some help over here. You just get a hold of veteransofpolitics.org and get a hold of us and send us a donation, and we will appreciate that. Or if you want to advertise, give us a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one thing that I would like to add is that on Wednesday was July 4th, which is obviously our Independence Day, and it's an honor for me to just give a lot of recognition to not just all of our veterans and all of the individuals that are out there fighting for the right for us to be able to go out on Wednesday night and barbecue and drink and do whatever we want to do and have fun. I'm just privileged today that I'm sitting in between two individuals that have actually taken part in allowing me to do that. So I just want to give a lot of recognition to Steve Sanson, who's sitting on my left, and Nick, who's sitting on my right. Steve Sanson, retired Marine.
Not retired.
Well, you're not retired?
No.
You're going to go back in?
No. No. There's different. Retired means he did 20 years and everything.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So correct me on that, because I'm a civilian, so you need to correct me on that.
6 years active and 6 years with the Army, but inactive reserve and what do they call that with the reserves? You got inactive, you got reserves.
Inactive, ready, reserve.
And you got active, yeah.
So that's another thing. I mean, just to state to our listeners that's one of the things that I really respect so much is the fact that as a civilian, I didn't know that, and Steve made sure to point that out to me, that maybe I was giving him the wrong title, so to speak. So I just in all honesty, I just want to say I respect both of these two men very much.
Thank you.
And I truly understand that the reason why I am able to have the life I am is because of these two individuals sitting next to me, and also everybody else that's out there serving. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody that, I mean, we really, me personally, I just really, truly appreciate everybody who's ever served in the armed forces.
You know who doesn't appreciate it?
Who's that?
Las Vegas Metro. Steve, you want to take that?
Here we go.
Well, there was another Iraqi veteran that was killed by Metropolitan Police Department. Another unarmed. How come they don't approach the armed ones? It's always the unarmed ones.
Oh, well, they already had the Eric Scott debacle.
Oh, well.
So yeah, they killed that. They killed that
his
guy.
holster. So I don't really. They need to approach these veterans that actually pointing a weapon at them. How about that?
I know.
I think there might be better shots than them too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That might be why they do what they do.
Yeah, but they beat up the unarmed Iraqi veteran who's from Guam, and I heard his brothers are very, very pissed off at the whole situation, and Metro's trying to cover it up again. This particular soldier was had multiple bruises to the face and body, and Doug Gillespie, I don't know why you don't resign yet, because apparently you are just a failed fucking leader. And I've never ever used that word on this show before.
Well, Steve, let me stop you. The reason why is because he's not held accountable.
I have never used the F word, and I've been doing this show since 2005, and I'm just tired of our veterans getting killed that are unarmed for stupid shit, and Sheriff Doug Gillespie has not had the fortitude to freaking step down or put his officers in line, and it's just really, really pissing me off.
And you know what's even more ridiculous, Jim? The VA has a free training program for law enforcement officers for PTSD. Yeah, it's free. It's free. It doesn't cost Clark County, Las Vegas Metro, none of them. Doesn't cost any of them a dime to do this training. But I'm betting they're not doing it.
No, of course not, because his arrogance gets the best of him, and it's just besides me that the sheriff does not do the right thing and just step the fuck down.
Well, Steve and Nick, and the business that I'm in, you have to have somebody above you that holds yourself accountable. So who's not holding him accountable?
The people is not holding him accountable, and the politicians are not holding him accountable, because they're all scared. They're scared of the sheriff. I mean, everybody on that Fiscal Affairs committee, and I'm talking about you, Clark County Commissioners, Steve Sisolak, and you, Clark County Commissioner Larry Brown, that have not put your right foot in front of your left foot because you're concerned about your own political career, and you're not holding the sheriff accountable for failing to lead his officers and lying. And you got that Bryant Yent that lied and killed Trevon Cole and cost the Clark County taxpayers $1.7 million, and he still has a damn job.
Well, part of the problem with the whole county commission is that if they have to pay a wrongful death suit, right, it's not coming out of their pockets. Correct. It's coming out of the taxpayers' pocket.
Oh, yeah, but Sheriff Doug Gillespie will say that we have money set aside for things like this. Whose money? It ain't sure as hell ain't his money.
No, it's taxpayer dollars.
You know?
So they all
taxpayer
need to
dollars. See, that's the beautiful thing about using the taxpayer dollars, because then it hurts the taxpayer, and the taxpayer is like, hey, I don't want to vote for this dude. This dude's freaking killing our vets and killing people that ain't supposed to be killed. Let's vote somebody else into office.
Well, and that's true, Nick, but the problem is that some people, actually a large majority of the voters, don't educate themselves, and they don't know these things.
Well, see, that's their own fault, because we have Veterans of Politics interview processes. They can watch that stuff on YouTube. We got it up.
Well, we have two guests today, and we're going to have Adrian Escobar, who is the recently appointed judge to the Clark County District Court Bench, Department 14, by Governor Sandoval. And we're going to have Kerry Luis Earley, who's also another appointed judge to the Clark County District Court Bench, Department 4, by Governor Sandoval. So we're going to have those two individuals as guests. I'm just pissed off that another veteran got killed by the hands of police, and again, that they're lying about it.
Furious.
But anyways, let's take a commercial break and bring those two folks on, and then go from there.
Hello, my name is Steve Sanson. I'm the president of Veterans in Politics International. This country and state are in trouble with budget cuts, unemployment, foreclosures, teacher shortage, dropout rates, terrorism, and a loss of military service members. The outcome of this election will profoundly affect families, both military and non-military. Military men and women are dying for other countries to have the right to vote. As a former member of the United States Marine Corps and the Army, I know how important it is to keep the voters informed. Log on to the website veteransinpolitics.com. All Americans of voting age need to not only vote, but research your choices. The Veterans in Politics organization has taken a proactive approach to supporting candidates who will have the courage to protect all of our freedoms and our Constitution. Visit our website at veteransinpolitics.com. Don't just talk about who you support. Research your choices and vote. Americans have been fooled by politicians about illegal immigration. They make you think that if you bring up this topic, you are a racist. Did you know that America is the only country on this planet that does not enforce its federal immigration laws? For the fear of being called a racist, I am for legal immigration. I was born on the island of Jamaica, became an American citizen, served 12 years in the U.S. military, served in Desert Storm, and received a Presidential Unit Citation, National Defense Medal, and Marine Corps Commendation. Our immigration laws serve a purpose. I understand that this country was founded on immigration, but there is a wrong way and a right way. I'm here to tell you that illegal immigration is breaking our federal laws. Why don't you call me a racist? This is Steve Sanson. While growing up, I've always asked my family, who is my father? I was told the name of a man. When I became older, I looked for this man and found him. He thought that I was his son as well, but after a DNA test, it was discovered that my family was lying to me all my life. I pressured my family to give me the real identity of my father. I then became suspicious and took my grandfather's DNA. After I buried my grandfather, 2 days later I discovered that my grandfather was in fact my biological father. I questioned myself and asked, what is my purpose on this earth? I should have never been conceived. But when I look at my 4 children, I knew that everything happens for a reason. This is Steve Sanson. Find your identity.
Hello, Las Vegas. I'm Karen Steelman, president of Las Vegas Tea Party, bringing your voice to the air Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Are you tired of politics as usual? Do you want to be more involved? Do you want to put a stop to out-of-control government policies? On We the People, we will discuss the political topics of the day and find real solutions. No parties, no labels, just Americans. Be here Wednesdays at 7 p.m. with We the People on KLAB 1230 a.m., where your voice is heard.
This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Nick Starling, Veterans in Politics. We have live Adrian Escobar, who is the recently appointed judge to the Clark County bench representing Department 14 that was recently vacated by Judge Mosley. And Judge Escobar, Judge Mosley was one of our closest allies in the 8th Judicial District, as far as Clark County is concerned. He was the type of person that if we needed anything, we could always rely on him. We go hang out, we go to lunch. He was just very close to the organization. And that's the type of folks that we need in the Clark County District Court Department 14. Somebody that's very reliable. That if we need anything, they will come to our rescue, so to speak, and actually do it with action and not so much with words. And Judge Mosley was the type of person that was very blunt. He didn't mince words. He was very direct with us, and we're very blunt too. So we kind of have, it was a good fit. Don't you guys agree?
Definitely,
I agree.
Yeah. Well, Judge Escobar, have you been sworn in yet?
No, I haven't. That'll happen the first week of August.
The 1st of August. Congratulations to the appointment. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. My background is basically this. I've lived in Las Vegas since about 1962, went through school all the way to UNLV, and after that I became a substance abuse therapist. I was licensed by the Bureau of Alcohol and Drug Abuse then, and that was my introduction to the criminal justice system. I had clients that were on parole and probation. I then attended California Western School of Law. And after that, I became a prosecutor in the Office of City Attorney in San Diego. I've also I have experience with civil law. I've had my own firm and worked with civil law firms in business and related matters. And I've also worked I've been on the Taxi Cab Authority and Public Utilities Commissioner.
So you know Stacy Truesdale?
I don't believe I know Stacy Truesdale.
She was on the Taxi Cab Authority.
Yeah, this was a while ago.
Oh.
This was before that. That was a very interesting experience, actually. And then I was a Public Utilities Commissioner smart meters a long time ago, and also the Consumer Advocate for the state of Nevada, Chief Deputy Attorney General, representing all of the consumers in utilities and deceptive trade. And I am most recently prosecutor at the Attorney General's office, working in mortgage fraud and securities or investment fraud.
You know, we opened up with our rants today, and we were talking about the most recent unarmed killing of a Army veteran that served in Iraq by the hands of a Metro officer. And I am just tired of veterans that don't even make a fraction of what our police force are making, that sustained multiple combat deployments, that get shot at repeatedly, and they make how much they make, Jim? I mean, Nick, how much does a regular E4 make a month?
E4 makes a month. Wow, I don't know, $2,000 maybe.
$2,000 a month.
That's without the special pays. That's without the housing allowance and everything.
Right.
$2,000 a month, and a regular Metro officer starts out at about what, $56,000 a year. So you have a regular soldier making about $24,000 a year, and they get shot at repeatedly if they serve in a combat theater. Whether it was Iraq or Afghanistan, and an officer, if he pulls a weapon or he executes the trigger on a weapon, he goes on immediate paid administrative leave. You have officers that's been on paid administrative leave for over a year now because the coroner's inquest has been halted since 2010. As a citizen, Judge Escobar, how do you feel about the coroner's inquest process, which I don't think it's going to come back? How do you feel about our veterans that are not are being paid a fraction of what police officers are being paid? They come back to a country and get killed by the same people that they protect. How do you feel about that? Being a citizen of this community, not being an attorney, not being appointed as a judge for the Clark County Judicial District bench, but being a citizen. How do you feel about our veterans are being killed by officers, especially our unarmed veterans?
Well, first of all, I've worked with veterans in the past as a substance abuse counselor years ago, and I am very receptive and understanding of a lot of their issues, and these men and women have performed amazing functions for us and kept us free and fought for our country. Any killing and any death is a tragedy no matter what. I'm also aware that the officers that work in the field work under very difficult circumstances and dangerous circumstances, and I'm also understanding of that. That's my answer as a citizen. I understand how delicate both aspects are. As a newly appointed judge, Steve, that I may have cases coming my way, whether civil or criminal, that I may be looking at and maybe hearing. And so I sit before you today as someone in that position, and what I can tell you is I will be very thorough, prepared, listen to everything, view everything in a very thoughtful way, and follow the law and not comment, not to you or anyone else about anything that may come before me. It's not really my position to do that.
So, Adriana, the question I have for you is, your response to Steve's question was, as a citizen, was very good. It's kind of a, for sake of better argument, it's kind of a boilerplate comment that most judges would make. The main question I have for you is, how will you, and I'm playing devil's advocate here a little bit, how will you balance when you have a veteran in front of you and understanding that some citizens believe that while we may really respect the sacrifices that those veterans have made, but he did break the law, or she did break the law, so shouldn't he or she be punished just like another civilian who didn't serve in the armed forces? Shouldn't they have the same punishment? Shouldn't justice be blind at that point?
With respect to the veteran?
Yeah.
Well, I know that there are special provisions for the veterans and veterans courts, and there are delicate situations that need to be addressed. We have to follow the law, and if any person breaks the law, it's something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be done as the law is written by the legislature. So, but I do believe that there are provisions for the veterans and hopefully the veterans court that factor a lot of the delicate situations that they've experienced in, like the post-traumatic stress syndrome and their drug abuse and certain other things that occur. Certainly those, if the law allows it, are most likely factors. That's why the legislature has provided for those.
So, Adriana, another question I have for you is that I was reading in the paper the other day that Governor Sandoval, who appointed you, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Pointed out that he wants Veterans Court here in Clark County. Well, that's great, but that's already state law. So I'm kind of concerned of why it's already taken in effect in Washoe County, but not here in Clark County. If it's a state law, then why is it not fully implemented here in Clark County? And as an elected judge, what can you do, or once you get elected as an appointed judge, what can you do to ensure that Veterans Court will be fully implemented according to state law?
Okay. Well, first, I want you to know that I'm going to have a civil calendar to begin with. And, it's not my decision how long that'll be, and I embrace it. I'm very happy to serve in the civil area. But with respect to the details and the nuts and bolts of the Veterans Court in our county, I'm not certain where they are on that. But and I really mean this. Should I ever be asked to help in any way that's within my judicial capacity, I would be happy to help implement it or volunteer to work in it as a judge.
Okay, so you just said if you were asked, but would you be willing to engage yourself into the process?
As long as I follow the judicial canons, and yes, I'm happy to voice that to my colleagues, but I really don't know what the circumstances are as we speak. I haven't taken the bench yet, and I haven't discussed that with them yet, to be frank with you.
Okay.
But why would you have a civil calendar? Judge Mosley was all criminal.
They redistribute cases and calendars, the topics, whether it's civil or criminal, depending on the needs of the court and so forth. And my understanding is that I'm going to have a civil calendar, and I have civil experience. So one of the questions that the Committee on Judicial Selection asked before the appointment was, are you happy? This is a criminal calendar. Can you take a civil one? And the answer was sure, whatever you need, whatever they need.
But I'm sure there's going to be overflow at times that you will pick up criminal cases.
Oh, yes, that's absolutely within the realm of possibility, and I hope to get up to speed as quickly as possible so that I can help. Because there's so many cases out there.
So, Adriana, one last question I have for you then is, can you walk the listeners through exactly what your core roles are as being appointed judge? So just so that we're clear, because
can I expand on that?
Sure.
Because I think it's a real honor that the both of you got appointed. That's really great. That's really setting the example for the citizenry. Really, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So to set the example for those to follow, which is part of the Ranger Creed, what did you guys do so that the listeners at home can emulate what you have done to get to that level of citizenry?
Okay, thank you for asking that question, because it means a lot to me. I have taken my career very seriously, and I've served as a public attorney quite a bit. I've done very well in civil practice. I didn't run away from it, but I keep coming to the public sector because it draws me, and I love working with the consumers. It doesn't matter what you call them. It's the same thing, really. It's the people that live in the state of Nevada. And, I've gone before the legislature as consumer advocate. I've, dealt in their cases, and, as a former public utilities commissioner, I had to make a very significant decision that was very stressful. And I have a lot of experience hearing cases, and these weren't small cases. Sometimes there were 12 lawyers representing 12 different parties. I don't want to misspeak, but maybe more than 12 lawyers. I think more than many times. One of the disallowances I had to make was $437 million. That's a big disallowance in one case. I proposed it, and I would like to think that I encourage my other two colleagues to vote for it. And, I'm not afraid to make a decision. I'm very thorough and I'm very prepared, and my heart is really in it, and I have a good mind for analysis, and I'm also very balanced and rational, which I think you want a judge to be. That's what I can offer you and your listeners and the consumers and the people of this state, someone who's worked very hard and will continue to for the right reasons.
Well, Adrian, I believe that to be the case. This is not the easiest setting, right? It's pretty tough. You got when you have three guys just staring you down, asking you all these questions, but you've handled yourself really well, and I do believe that. I do a lot of interviewing with the job I do. Just your mannerisms and everything. I just want to thank you very much for coming in here. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, and it's an honor to have been your guest. Thank you very much.
I have a question real quick about the consumer stuff. We are forced consumers of the police department. Now, when things like, our veterans being targeted, which has happened numerous times, and it doesn't just happen here. It's happening all across the country. They're targeting our guys. That's really, really sad. What can, with your legal experience, what can we do as a veteran community to kind of as a check against the police department? Like, is there like a inspector general that we should be getting a hold of, or internal affairs, or what? How can we, as citizens, as veteran citizens?
I've worked in the areas of the utilities and deceptive trade, a lot of different fraud and so forth, but not in that area. Okay. And what I've done is case specific, big cases, but case specific. I don't know exactly what your remedy is or which way that you would handle that, but that's something that, that can be probably discussed with you by the Attorney General's office or the District Attorney's office. Okay. But there are definitely avenues to address certain things, and I don't know the exact one as we speak.
Okay.
Well, Adriana, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Could you give us your website, your point of contact?
Yes, it's adrianaescobar.us. That's ADRIANAESCOBAR. .us. Thank you so much.
That's Adriana Escobar. She's our newly appointed judge to the Clark County District Court Bench Department 14. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Nick Starling with Veterans in Politics. Don't go away, folks. We're going to have Kerry Louise. Hope I pronounced that. Louise Earley. She's another appointed candidate for the Clark County Bench. This time it's at Department 4. We'll be right back, folks.
Did you see the press release Veterans in Politics sent out in support of Clark County District Court Judge Alicia Kadish to the federal bench?
Yes, in 2008, Veterans in Politics endorsed 22 judicial candidates in the primary. Only 4 candidates did not become a judge. This was the same year they endorsed District Court Judge Alicia Kadish. Judge Kadish was one of the 18 of their endorsed recipients that is a sitting judge today.
Yeah, they take pride in their selection of candidates, especially when it comes to our judges. Judges are the first line of defense, and they immediately impact our daily lives.
I wonder if anybody knows that Judge Kadish was appointed to the district court seat by former Republican Governor Jim Gibbons to replace former district court judge Joe Bonaventure.
Yeah, as a jurist, Judge Kadish consistently demonstrates fairness, impartiality, and a dedication to upholding the law, regardless of whether she agrees with it. She follows the law and not legislates from the bench, which is what Republicans look for in a jurist.
Yeah, it is ironic, to say the least, that Republican U.S. Senator Dean Heller is now blocking Judge Kadish's federal judicial nomination because she insisted on following the law.
Yeah, what he is using is a questionnaire Judge Kadish filled out in May 2008 from the group Citizens of Responsible Government. They asked Judge Kadish a question concerning the Second Amendment. The question they ask is, do you believe the individual citizen has a constitutional right to keep and bear arms?
I remember that. Kadish responded, I do not believe that there is this constitutional right, but I believe that reasonable restrictions may be imposed on gun ownership in the interest of public safety. Of course, I will enforce the laws as they exist as a judge.
That was a correct statement of law at the time. Individual citizens did not have a constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Reasonable restrictions could be imposed on gun ownership in the interest of public safety. Therefore, Judge Kadish's response demonstrated that she was well-versed and knowledgeable in this important area of the law. Moreover, she indicated she would enforce the law as they exist. In other words, Judge Kadish not only understood the law, but affirmed she would apply it regardless of her personal opinion.
Yeah, later the law changed. In District of Columbia versus Heller and McDonald versus City of Chicago, the United States Supreme Court held that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to possess firearms and that this right is fundamental and fully applicable to the states through incorporation in the 14th Amendment.
I remember that. After the Heller and McDonald decisions, Judge Kadish again confirmed that she would be bound by the law, not a personal opinion, and as such, if asked the same question today, she would respond, I believe that there is a constitutional right for individuals to keep and bear arms, and I would make clear that I would faithfully apply the binding precedent on the issue starting with the Heller and McDonald decisions, if faced with an issue regarding these important Second Amendment rights.
It sounds like, in both responses, Judge Kadish confirmed her commitment to upholding the law.
Yeah, now, in a sadly transparent attempt at political pandering that needlessly deepens the partisan divides that already paralyzes our federal government, U.S. Senator Heller has blocked Judge Kadish's congressional confirmation. And ironically, he is now forced to justify his position by arguing that when asked about the individual right to bear arms, Judge Kadish should have assumed activist robes and held that contrary to law. Such a right did, in fact, exist. In other words, Senator Heller must attempt to argue with a straight face that Judge Kadish is not qualified to be a federal judge because she understands the law and will uphold it.
Unfortunately, U.S. Senator Heller is not just sacrificing his own credibility among voters and true conservatives, but is selfishly denying his own constituents the benefits of a qualified, accomplished, universally respected federal judge. And that's what's truly is disappointing.
Well, veterans and politics members believe in the Constitution and the right to bear arms. A majority of their membership has concealed carry weapons permits. I don't believe that they would endorse Judge Kadish in 2008 if they believed that she was against gun ownership.
Really? I don't understand how a freshman-appointed U.S. Senator could stop a federal appointment from a majority whip, elected U.S. Senator and the President of the United States.
Well, I know Judge Kadish should not be used as a political pawn to gain conservative votes on falsehoods. Judge Kadish appointment.
Well, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Nick Starling, Veterans in Politics. We have Kerry Louise Earley, newly appointed judge for Clark County District Court Bench Department 4. Before we start asking questions of Judge Earley, I just want to let everybody know that we'll be conducting our Veterans in Politics endorsement interviews next week for Clark County District Court Department 4 and 14 on Saturday, July 14th at the Leatherneck Club from 4 to 6 p.m. We encourage everybody to come out and find out who these candidates are, so when you go to the voting booth, you can be educated. And all these interviews will be on YouTube, by the way. Right, Jim?
Yep.
It's
Jim.
free to show up. It's free to watch the YouTube videos. If you're not an informed voter, it's your own fault.
Yeah, that's true.
If you need to know where it is, again, Steve already said it, just rewind, hit rewind, go back, and listen to it again.
Are we really using airtime for that?
Just saying. 90% of life is showing up, but most people won't show up. Aggravating.
Judge Earley, how are you, ma'am?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations to the appointment to the bench, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Could you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yes. I've been in Clark County as a litigating attorney for 30 years. I was born and raised in Kansas City. I came here and started out with a civil litigation firm that did the MGM fire litigation. So I was kind of thrown into a major complex case initially. I have done my entire career civil litigation, which is what Department 4 is now and why I'm excited to be in Department 4. I've started my own firm in 1993. I've been involved in the PepCon litigation. My whole career has been trial experience, basically representing people on both the plaintiff and defense side. I am married. My husband is a chief deputy district attorney, so he does the criminal law.
What's his name?
Thomas Morio.
Why does he have a different last name than you?
Well, I'll tell you, when we got married, I was
kind of women's lip thing?
No. I wish it was, but when we got married, I was going to do Kerry Earley Morio. My husband had just completed a very, very tough criminal case, a murder case, and our first month of marriage, we had death threats against my husband, and we had FBI, and he said, let's do this. Do not put Morio. I'm not going to change my career. And it's so funny because we kept the gas, the electric, everything in my name. We still have it under Earley. I have the best credit. If my husband ever leaves me, he is in trouble. The opposite of the real true story. He called me the other day and he goes, oh my gosh, Cox will not talk to me because your names. Will you tell them it's okay? True story. So that is why it happened.
I believe you.
It's a true story.
You know, it's actually a really good political thing too. When you run for election, actually, because you're appointed, but you'll have first position.
Is that
on the? Yeah, that's a huge thing. Well, that's how I got beat.
Well, and I'll be another story. That's right. I read it.
Nobody knew who he was on voting day, and
there's another selfish reason. My sister went to medical school, and my dad paid for that and got married in medical school, so he never got a Dr. Earley, and he really resented that the Jakes, who never paid for her medical school or anything, got a Dr. Jake. So my parents were kind of happy to have an Earley, and they're not with me anymore. They died, but I know my mom and dad in heaven are going, oh my gosh, Judge Earley. I know they're proud.
Well, Judge Earley, it's not over yet.
No.
There's actually 9 of you in this race. 7 of you will be at the endorsement interviews on Saturday. So we're really looking forward to that. How do you plan to make yourself stand out amongst 8 of your opponents? Well, what do you have that is unique and different that you should be or maintain being a judge in Department 4?
What I have, and is what Governor Sandoval decided I had, it's my breadth of experience, length of experience to be a judge. I've been here 30 years. I've done countless trials, and this department is a civil trial, 8th Judicial District Court. I know other people who are against me, my opponents, have come on and said, well, I've been pro tem in Justice Court. I've done this in criminal court.
She's been listening to
I have.
the show.
I've listened to every one of
Wow.
yours. Well, you know what? I need to be an informed candidate as much as we need to be informed voters.
True.
And especially in the judicial race, you'll find out. You know, they wanted to vote for judges, but you go out there, they know nothing about judges.
It comes out in the video.
And you know what?
That is true. They know nothing about judges.
I always advocated, and I always say to voters that pay more attention to the judges than the federal candidates.
Because they impact your life immediately.
Exactly. But they don't understand that.
No, they don't.
Until they show up in front of you.
Because it's more glamour. The federal candidates are more glamour. The presidential, the Senate, the Congress.
Absolutely.
There's more glamour, more money. But these judges could really screw up your life permanently.
Well, they can make you either really respect the judicial system or lose all respect and hope in the judicial system. That is very, very true. And there was a young guy I met recently who looked at me when I shook his hand. He goes, why would I care about a judge position? I just met Shelley Berkeley. And I go, you know what? True story. It just happened. And I said,
I believe you.
the judicial race is one of the most
important races you should look at. I said, I hope and pray you never come to the district court. I hope and pray you never have a brain injury from a car accident. I hope and pray that a doctor never does malpractice against you. I hope and pray you don't have discrimination in employment. But we don't know that. And I said, then that judge, you want competency and you want experience. And I always give the example, my dad was in the Air Force. He's a veteran, and he made his whole living as an airline pilot. The service gave my dad his living. And I said, you know what? When you get on an airplane, what do you want in that cockpit?
Competency.
Exactly. What do you want on that bench?
All right. So,
competency.
you know what? Since you brought up competency, let me ask you a question. We've been advocating for Judge Kadish to be at the federal bench, and we've came out publicly against Senator Dean Heller for blocking her nomination, using the NRA as a reason for her not to saying that she was against gun rights. Basically, is what he was saying. How do you feel about that as a citizen, knowing that politicians will use judges like yourself now as a political pawn to gain votes?
I think as a citizen, it is one of the most discouraging things that is what happens with a judicial race. And you know the background. She answered a questionnaire. That was the appropriate law at the time. I litigated against Ms. Judge Kadish when she was not a judge. I certainly have been in her courtroom and respect her. I find that politics is not easy, Steve. I have learned that being on the candidate trail, and I find that as a citizen wrong.
Hold on a sec. Judge Kadish was one of our endorsed recipients, and if we felt that she was against gun rights, we wouldn't have endorsed her because almost all of us carry a weapon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's not against it. It was a questionnaire, and the way she answered it, she explained it's on the law at the time. And we all know after that, the U.S. Supreme Court then clarified the law, which is what happens as a judge. You know, that's why the law is exciting. It keeps evolving.
Right.
We were talking earlier on the break about, you know what, judges are not just strict constructionists. You still have to take your common sense, and there's areas that have to have interpretation. And what was being interpreted at the time by certain lower courts got clarified. That's why we have appellate courts. You know, that's part of the process. So, I mean, I think in Nevada, that's one of the toughest things that has come out right now. I'm not in the federal bench, and as you know, those are all appointments. And I truly feel that the system we're having right now in Nevada with the appointments, I know you asked a question of Adriana how that works, but I don't know. Briefly, what you do is we all do an application. Have you seen those online?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We were still waiting for Chris Rasmussen to put his online because he said that he was going to do that.
Right.
And we've been waiting since, I think, February.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you won't see it. Some of my opponents in my race did not even try for the judicial appointment.
Right.
You know, they didn't even go for it. Mike Mills didn't. Chris Lee didn't go for it.
Well, hold on. If Judge Lee did go for it, he would have had to resign his position as a North Las Vegas.
Right, and he has to commit to the race just like the rest of us. I wound down my legal practice. You know, what am I going to do if I made the commitment 100% to do this? And I do understand, you know, it was 100% to get the petitions. That was a main effort. It was 100% to do that application and go in front of a 9-member judicial selection commission. You know, it was not an easy process.
They wouldn't put me on that commission. I asked to be put on that commission.
Did you?
Yeah.
You should be on it.
He should be.
Because we want informed people. Well, ask again. State Bar does appointments.
But I don't like no. So if I was to pick a candidate and nobody liked that candidate,
The State Bar does appointments?
I wouldn't leave
We know
until
somebody over at the State Bar.
Yes, State Bar does some appointments. There's some businessmen. And then also you have to go through the interview process with Governor Sandoval. That's how we got to where we are now. Plus, as you're very aware, I feel I've done certain battles to get the petitions, to get through the commission, which they're in a U shape in the Supreme Court. That's not, you guys were teasing us, it's not easy to do this. That is really difficult when you've got all these different entities, which you know can affect a huge appointment to you. Plus, you know, you do that, but going through that, getting the appointment by Governor Sandoval, I had an interview that was really rewarding. But you know what the toughest is? Running for the race.
So
I'll tell you, the toughest
Judge,
for me is
got,
being a candidate, and I don't want to serve for 6 months.
Right. And
no one wants to do that.
And so, Judge, this is a question I've been dying to get to.
Well, I'm not done with my question.
Is that so? Do you agree with the system we have here in Nevada as far as electing our judges, or should they be appointed?
Ooh, I like that one.
And the reason why, and hold on one second, the reason why I want to clarify this is because I actually talked with these two knuckleheads last night. We were having dinner, and they both kind of
oligarchy versus democracy.
Yeah, and we were talking about it, and I said, okay, well.
Did he call us a knucklehead?
He did.
Call us a knucklehead.
Steve,
That's all right.
he did.
That's all right. We're going to choke him out in the
part of my thing is that honestly, I do personally think that judges should be elected, but you have to look at the voter turnout, and the voter turnout for judicial races, like we've already talked about, is so low, and we're talking about informed voters. So if judges are elected by the people, but only 1/6 of registered voters actually show up to vote, are we actually electing the most competent people to the bench, or should it not be an appointed position at that point?
Well, as you know, we've had the amendment to do the modified Missouri plan, where you get appointment and then you have an election for retention. That was rejected by the voters in Nevada back in 2010. What if the voters want to elect judges? Then it's incumbent upon both the voters and the judicial candidates to get out there and educate them. It's incumbent on us, and it puts a tough road, because the young man I met at the picnic, he no more wanted to know a judge than the man in the moon. Plus, they don't even want to be registered voters, some of them. So it puts a much bigger burden on the candidate. So there's pros and cons on both sides. Sandra Day O'Connor, remember, came to our state and tried to do the modified. But Nevada is Nevada. We like our rights, and we like our voting rights. Then what we need to do, and what Adriana and I are both doing as candidates, we get out there. We talk to them. You know, when I see people at the UPS store this morning, I said, "Are you voting?" And they, I said, "I'm a mother. I want you to vote. My kids are in their 20s. Then you can't complain. And if you want to know a good judge, then you need to educate yourself." And I mentioned listening to this radio station. I mentioned, we're at political events. So it puts a huge burden on a judge. I mean, people know who Shelley Berkeley is. Let's be honest. She's got millions, right?
Judge,
people know Dean
Judge,
Heller.
if there's something we could do to kind of limit the, just to let everyone know, I feel really bad about, you guys have a huge burden because you have to run countywide. So, but you're running for Department 14, Department 4, Department 6. Most people don't even understand that. So would there be a way in which we could draw laws that you would only have to elicit voters for a specific department?
No, that's not the way our courts are. It's the 8th Judicial District Court of Clark County, Nevada.
Right.
We go all the way to Pahrump, as you know, all the way up to Mesquite. The departments have nothing to do, and I have to educate voters because they keep thinking it's a district. Like the Justice of the Peace have a certain
Well,
district.
you just educated me because that was my main question.
Right. No, the departments are just the number of the courtroom. When I started out, I think there were 9 departments. Mosley was just a brand new judge. When I started out, we're up to almost 30, Adriana, 31 or 32? Something like that now. It's just what we call them.
And just to let the listeners know, you're filling Kathy Hardcastle's.
I'm Department 4, Kathy Hardcastle. Right. It's a civil position. That's my experience, and I appreciate being here.
I like to tag in on what Jim was saying earlier. The thing I'm working on is liberty versus tyranny, and I'm defining liberty as your ability to choose, and tyranny is someone else choosing for you. You find that accurate?
Well, tyranny means they take away your rights. Yes, so they are deciding
for you.
I go back to my American history, but yes, you're right.
So,
and voting is the most as the music we're listening to is the most important right we have. And I will tell you this, I'm on the campaign trail, a lot of people are out there trying to get voters registered, trying to make them understand your voting right. If you don't use it, it's an absolute waste of one of your best rights. And that is going on, I feel, from all the events I'm going to, which I hadn't heard this just a few years ago. People weren't encouraging. Like I said, I'm encouraging these young people to get out and at least register.
Yeah.
Have your voice heard. Educate yourself.
Judge Earley, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Welcome.
Could you give us your contact information?
Yes. My website is www.kerrylouiseearley.com.
You're going to spell that out?
Yes.
So that they can, the Louise part?
Yeah.
Because there's an E on there.
There's an E on there. It's KerryLouiseEarley.
Yeah, and there's also an E in the Early.
There's an extra E in Early. I tell voters, vote early for Early, but there is an Irish E in there. There is. You are right.
Thank you so much, Judge Earley.
Thank
This is
you.
Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Nick Starling with Veterans in Politics. Until next week.
And defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Views and opinions expressed on this program were those of the hosts and guests and did not necessarily reflect those of Vegas All Net Radio, its affiliates, or its parent company.